Okay, hey guys, in this video I am going to be reviewing the audio Hype 2. This has two dynamic drivers and two balanced armature drivers. And I kind of ripped it out of the box because I couldn't get this thing to come out. I was gonna do an unboxing, but whatever, I just couldn't figure it out. But it does come with this case, and it comes with, I think, some stuff. As we see, I have some of the ear tips. There's actually, I think a cleaning cloth and some foam ear tips in here. So I'm just using the medium, rubber ear tips. So this is my first ever THIEAUDIO earbud, and it's my second ever Chi-Fi. The first Chi-Fi I bought were the SimGod EM6L. These things, which recently came out, and these things sound amazing. I highly recommend you guys go out and buy these. They're only $109. It's called the SimGod EM6L Phoenix. EM6L Phoenix. These things are cheap. They're only $109, and they sound spectacular. I am coming from some biodynamic. DT990s. These are what I would exclusively listen to forever. But people complain about the biodynamic DT990s because they have these massive treble spikes, and they're like considered very muddy and bloated with a rolled off sub bass. So they have this bloomy bass that's muddy and warm, and impactful, but like it lacks deep. So let me show you the frequency responses of this stuff. Okay, let me show you the frequency responses. So this is the Hype 2 in green, the audio Hype 2, and this is the biodynamic DT990s in red. So as we can see here, a lot of people complain about the biodynamic DT990s because they're muddy at 200 hertz. They're overemphasized to a lot of people. And then in the low mid bass and sub bass, they are underemphasized. A lot of people complain that the DT990s roll off the deep sub bass, and that they have too much mud at 200 hertz. Some people will say it's also too bright. The DT990s in red are also too bright. So the THIEAUDIO Hype 2 is what all the rage is about these days. The 200 hertz mud cut to thin out that mud, that warmth, and give a more like clear sound. And then having a deep, impactful sub bass. Okay, so we can kind of see that here on the audio website. The bass is powerful and thunderous thanks to impact, but well controlled by keeping a tight 200 hertz bass shelf. So it doesn't really start to rise until like 200 hertz. So you could argue that these earbuds fix the biodynamic DT990 problems. So if you're one of those people that think the biodynamic DT990 treble is too harsh, too shrill, too sibilant, and you think they're too muddy and they lack a deep bass, then these boys right here, the THIEAUDIO Hype 2 would be great for you. The THIEAUDIO Hype 2 would be great for you. I do notice that these are pretty big. These are pretty big earbuds. They really engulf my entire ear. But they fit really well for me. They do not come out. They're in there really, really well. But I just wanted to say they're pretty freaking big, to be honest. They're very light. They come in this thick cord. The EM6L comes in a thinner cord, but they look kind of similar to some degree. What do I think about the THIEAUDIO Hype 2? Again, the THIEAUDIO Hype 2, one of the biggest things about it is the 200 hertz scoop. And I think that comes mainly from the ear sensitivity chart. Depending on the listening level will determine how much 200 hertz mud there is. If you listen at extremely high listening levels, like 100 decibels, it's really flat, below 1000 hertz. It's got flat bass, flat mid bass. But at lower listening levels, we have a tilt. We have a tilt at 200 hertz. Okay, we have a tilt at 200 hertz. The lower the listening level, like if you're listening at 70, 60, 50, you're going to have tilted bass. You're going to have tilted bass, okay, which adds warmth and boominess to the sound. If you're listening at ear-damaging levels, you start to flatten out the bass and the mid-bass. You start to flatten it out. So, around 70, 80 decibels, you can kind of play games with, how much mid-bass you want at 200 hertz. And that's essentially what we're seeing here. Especially if I switch over to the SimGot and get rid of the biodynamics, you can probably see that all these headphones, these earbuds, have basically the same frequency response with very minor differences. So the SimGot EM6L for $109 measures nearly identical to the THIEAUDIO that's $299. The main difference is the THIEAUDIO in green has the 200 hertz bass shelf, which adds clarity, gets rid of warmth, gets rid of mud. They both have the same powerful, sub bass. They both have the same ear gain scoop at 2.8 kilohertz for a wide soundstage. They both have diffuse field level treble. We can see this target is diffuse field, this dotted line is diffuse field, and both of them go along that line. So diffuse field has very bright treble. It's also known for being very shouty, which is the reason why they scoop out the ear gain. We can show you, so they're scooping out the ear gain at 3K right here. And then they're adding a warm, boomy bass or a thin, more anemic mid bass with the Hype 2, because diffuse field is known for being bright, shouty, and thin. So in order to alleviate those characteristics, some companies will scoop out the ear gain at around 2.8K. They'll do a massive bass boost, below 500, 800 hertz. Okay. But a lot of people actually like diffuse field treble. A lot of people think diffuse field treble sounds really good. Some people think it sounds too bright. But I personally prefer this tuning, and it's called V-shaped. It's scooping out the mids. It's, very bright, and it's very warm and boomy. So V-shaped means that it's V-shaped. It's fun. It's so this is my target. This is what I prefer to listen to. The biodynamic DT990s on my headphone target here. So I prefer a warm, boomy, powerful bass, a scooped out ear gain, and a diffuse field level bright treble. So bright, wide soundstage, and warm and boomy. Okay, so that's what I prefer. And when you look at all of these earbuds and headphones, you can see that the DT990, you could argue, are the worst of the bunch. The DT990 are very thin. in the deep bass, and they're kind of bright and shrill in the high treble and air. So you can get either the THIEAUDIO Hype 2 or the SIMGOT EM6L and, get a better sound than, in my opinion, this is the best headphone in the world, regardless of price. But these days, you can find Chi-Fi earbuds with the same tuning and better improvements. There's a lot of hype around the 200 hertz Mud Scoop, and if you're one of those people that want to try it out and see what all the hype is about, I think you should buy the THIEAUDIO Hype 2. Is a good name for this. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to be listening to these some more. I listened to them for like 30 minutes. They definitely sound very clear because they lack bass bloom, they lack mid bass, mud, and they have a very punchy, slap you in the face sub bass. And then they have a wide soundstage scoop and a pretty bright treble, to be honest with you. Especially a lot of times when you have diffuse field treble, you kind of want a warm, boomy, engulfing mid bass, because it kind of covers up that brightness a little bit, so it's not so, in your face. But so again, if you're on a budget, get the SIMGOT EM6L. It's like end game. If you want to experience a mid bass scoop or bass shelf that gets rid of warmth, mud, and gives you a more punchy, impactful deep bass while still being clear in the mids, you can get the THIEAUDIO. But the THIEAUDIO Hype 2 is $300. These are $299. If you really want to experience that fine tuning of the mid bass, there is a little bit of 5K peak on the Hype 2 that I notice a little bit. It's not that bad, but I noticed it a tiny bit. You can actually see it a tiny bit on the measurements. But to be honest with you, I notice. You see the green right here, the green. That peak right there on the green. I kind of noticed it a tiny bit, but look how subtle it is. It's not, so it doesn't really matter which one you get. They all sound very, 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 very similar. I'm really nitpicking it at this point. Yeah, so that's really all I wanted to say. These are really, 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 really good. I think some people would say they're maybe too bright. The people that are obsessed with the 200 hertz bass shelf, they also tend to like a treble tilt, which means a little bit of a darker treble. So, if you're one of those people that want a pulled down treble and a 200 hertz bass shelf, these may not be for you. But if you're one of those people that don't like mud, but you like and you want a deeper, impactful sub bass, and you're a DT990 Biodynamic DT990 fan, buy these. If you like the EM6L and you think they're too muddy, they're too bass bloomy, buy the THIEAUDIO, Hype 2. It's up to you. It's all about picking those little subtle differences. And I think all three of these products are exceptionally good. And I think the SIMGOT EM6L is the best bang for your buck. I think over-ear headphones technology has been terrible over the years. And the Biodynamic DT990 250 ohm Pro are the best you can possibly get. So, if you want something cheap, get the DT990s.
get the EM6L. If you want, something a little bit more expensive, something that really panders to those audio enthusiasts, get the THIEAUDIO with that mud scoop it, 200 hertz bass shelf thing. I think it's okay. I think it's interesting. I don't really care either way, to be honest. So I would probably gravitate towards the cheaper equipment where you get a very similar sound. So I'm glad I got to use these. I will probably continue to use them. I think all three of them are pretty interchangeable, to be honest with you. You have a good selection of audio equipment these days. I'm listening back to my microphones right now, and it sounds extremely transparent. So I like them. I give them a good review. Especially, again, like if you want to experience these tuning things that enthusiasts love so much, the 200 hertz mud cut, here you go. You got it. It works. Is it game changing? No. They sound very similar, and you'll probably get used to all three of them, and forget all about it, those subtle differences, to be honest with you. But like I said, if I was to recommend something, these, they're really cheap. The SimGuts EM6L.